We might have lost the great Eminem in 2007.
Had I have got to the hospital about 2 hours later, I would have died.
We will tell you about the darkest period in Eminem's life in this video. I want to start by keeping in mind his statement that kids don't smoke, don't drink, and don't rape. Let me handle that. Who knew that it may end up being Marshall's defining catchphrase? I propose that we travel back in time to Eminem's early years, since this is the most formative time in our lives as well as his. When Eminem was 6 months old, his mother did drugs, according to him, and he lived with her after his father left. Eminem has spoken about this in his songs. Marshall's mother, Debbie Mathers, was only 17 at the time of his birth. She acknowledges that the family had some difficult moments. Marshall left an abusive marriage when she was 2 years old, embarking on a difficult existence as a single mother. She described it as quite difficult because once we would fix up a house, they would sell it right under us. Paycheck to paycheck, that's what I did. Debbie stated in an interview that none of the things he sings about her in his songs are true. She didn't use alcohol or drugs in her life.
Neglectful.
No.
Pill popping.
No.
Welfare collecting.
No.
She also said she was a 9 out of 10 mother.
You know, you've got to stop this. I mean, your anger and your hostilities towards me. What have I really actually done to you?
The world may be harsh, but it is also comical. Huge Nas in an interview.
Just found out my mom does more than I do. Make a record about doing to name it after.
I feel like I'm floating in a cloud, but sometimes I get quiet, then I get loud, then I go up, then I go down.
The former security guard for Eminem described how it all began, noting that the company didn't use many narcotics at first.
Notice, M didn't do a lot of drugs in the beginning. Matter of fact, Kim used to call me, "Hey Nas, can you make sure that Marshall doesn't do any drugs?" And that was part of my job, man, to protect him and to protect him from drug use. So.
Guy. He's therefore upset with himself for forgetting to keep an eye on the budding hip-hop artist. Like any other individual, M grew fatigued when he worked hard. The assistant manager suggested that instead of sleeping, Eminem take some tablets to stay up, even if he didn't actually need them. He ate well and had a healthy lifestyle. When he discovered that M had developed a drug addiction, everything in Baltimore altered. After he and his friend obtained some narcotics, Big Nas advised Eminem not to do it. However, the guys chose not to pay attention to him and closed the door in front of him. He continued by telling a story about an incident that occurred in Boston in 1999, just before a concert. He mentioned that he used to dope a little before shows, but that time he went too far. The medications start working. As you have seen, everything moved pretty slowly. He was able to obtain narcotics in any city and used marijuana morning, noon, and nightly. There were several who feared he would overdose. Eminem was pulling apart from his close friends and family. He disregarded their advice that he was experiencing trouble with this toxin. He got stoned as soon as he got home.
Like the dude took everything out of the house. You know?
TVs?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Because they made him feel better and he felt awful while sober, he liked the feeling and upped the doses each time. Apart from narcotics, he also enjoyed indulging in booze. In the book Way I Am, he made the statement, "When I was drinking, I could be feeling really happy, loving everyone, and everything was great. But then I would hear something that upset me, not realizing that my guards would be helpless to prevent me from retaliating, and likely punching you in the face, spitting in your face, or receiving a few kicks before they reached me. Any crap, like someone staring at me for too long, could get to me angry. I was unable to stop until I felt that I had done something to hold this individual accountable and help him to remember this lesson. Later, I apologized profusely, and all the time. I wondered why I couldn't control this behavior and felt like an idiot for it." Eminem has compared his prescription drug addiction to Michael Jackson's, acknowledging that he popped between 60 and 90 pills a day during the height of his addiction. Things worsened in 2002 when he used pills while filming the movie 8 Mile, but the lowest point came in 2004 following the release of the album Encore. I'm not quite sure what he was doing, but from what I've read, he would frequently wake up in the middle of the night to ask for more medicines. I was acting in that manner. Eminem began to develop a tolerance to his prescribed medicines and started to get dependent on them. He claims that he was screwed up every night by the time he embarked on his anger management tour in 2005. "I just took these tablets since I can't sleep, so please take these. I have trouble falling asleep." According to MM, "I was taking so many pills that I wasn't even taking them to get high. I started taking them to feel better. I would estimate that during the day. I might take between 40 and 60 Vicodin and maybe 20 to 30 Valium. My daily routine consisted of taking an extra dosage Vicodin when I woke up and continuing to take Vicodin all day. As nightfall approached, I would begin taking Valium, either 1, 2, 3, or 4 at a time, and then take another 4 or 5 every hour on the hour." Subsequently, in 2005, he made multiple attempts at recovery and even attended rehab, but the loss of a close buddy, named Proof in 2006, left M depressed, and he started using once more. According to Marshall, it was a wonderful excuse for him to start using drugs once more. At times, he would just cry in bed. Eminem's originality was also compromised. He was unable to write anything from 2004 to 2008, and what little he wrote was absurd. This was the circumstance with Rihanna. She was dating Chris Brown at the time, and she said that Chris would abuse her on a regular basis. Things Get Worse, a demo version of Eminem's song, has an online sneak peek. A brief segment of the tape, which ultimately did not make it into the final mix, included Eminem declaring his support for fellow musician Chris Brown.
Let me get my 2 cents. Of course I side with Chris Brown. I'd beat a bitch down too if she gave my dick an itch now.
He would later apologize for this. His physical well-being also declined significantly. Marshall put on a lot of weight, reaching a high weight of 230 pounds during that time. Standing at 5 feet 8 inches, you may observe the rapper's form in this clip from the 2006 Jimmy Kimmel Show, where the presenter invites Eminem to play basketball with him one-on-one. Even Kimmel seems like LeBron next to this overweight, breathless dude, making it difficult to identify the hip-hop king. Subsequently, the rapper was prescribed 1 tablet, more drugs, and a positive attitude for the entire day by one of the doctors he knew. He drank 1 after the kids went to bed, but naturally that wasn't enough for him. He then drank another, but that wasn't enough either. After 30 minutes, he became ill and made it to the restroom, where he lay on the floor and called for help. When the medics finally came, they determined that he had overdosed on methadone, one of the strongest medications available. It's employed to normalize heroin users who are drug addicts and who are healed of their addiction.
Had I have got to the hospital about 2 hours later, I would have died.
Though his organs started to fail and physicians believed he would not live, he was fortunate to survive. Upon being discharged from the hospital, he resumed medication use due to insomnia. 1 week later, it was anticipated that he would relapse and die a month after the overdose. He thought every morning of that awful month that his time was running out.
Just walking around my house and thinking every single day, like, I'm gonna fucking die.
His choice to be a caring parent to both his adoptive girls and his biological daughter, Haley Jade Scott, was the only thing that prevented him from becoming completely forgotten. He checked himself into a hospital at the beginning of 2008, underwent treatment, and began the 12-step program for recovering addicts, which included meetings, a sponsor, and therapy.
Like, I know how he can sound, like when he puts that, I call it the
I literally have no recollection of actually doing the show. I remember going home and watching it, but I just don't remember being here.
Marshall developed a jogging habit. He burned at least 2,000 calories a day by running 8 to 9 kilometers before and after work in the studio. Eminem lost 150 pounds in a year, but he hurt his hip flexors from the overload. "I run a little too much since I have the mental capacity of a drug addict."
Love Valium and lots of drugs. That's why I am like.
At first, Eminem had no desire to resemble his parents. If he succeeded in becoming a terrific father, however, his mother's habit would have been inherited genetically, which he struggled and overcame. While 420 is observed differently by many, Eminem observes Sobriety Day, a slightly different celebration. He says that being honest with himself was the key to his successful recovery, and that's what matters most when trying to make a life change. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment if you liked the video. The Television Network. Soon see you.